That's very nice. What was his name?
William Vogel, Corporal William Vogel.
Very nice. Very nice.
Kids are so bad.
You have the gun?
Hypothetically speaking, it's a possibility.
Your father still has it. She'll live and be well. Good.
Did he use the gun?
My
That's what
Zadie was a
Jesse just
Holocaust
showed
camp
me.
liberator for the American Army, because I'm 8th generation New York. So after he was nifter, we found his gun and it had 8 notches in the handle.
Oh my.
But that means that's how many people you killed?
That's how many Nazis he killed. That's what he told my father. Well, that's how many Nazis he killed with his handgun. He also had a rifle that had a bunch of notches, but we don't know what happened with the rifle.
Interesting. I hear you.
Food in the toaster. Figure it out. What? You guys don't have a toaster? Just check it out. This I do.
I hope nobody did Kiddush Levana tonight.
Yeah, oh, nice to have.
You know, some people were trying to get us to do it because they said they turned on their app on their phone. A guy's on Hatzalah and he had his phone on his app, and the app said that you could say it tonight because it came from
You
Mara.
serious?
Yeah, he said the app said it. I said, I think tomorrow night's the first night. He's like, but the app says it. I'm like, you could do what you want, but nobody said it.
You'll say that.
I don't see how you can when the Moiled was what, Thursday morning?
Because they
No?
mistakenly think it was Wednesday night.
I hear. Unless it's a different cheshbon that it's keeping.
I don't know. The app on this guy's phone had it from Mara. But we all left after Marav and didn't say it, so he didn't say it either.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right, let's roll. We gave Oilam enough time. We left off.
This is yours.
2 lines from the bottom, Bob Mine.
Right, a couple lines in the bottom. No.
Samachal Amud Beis.
Peretz, where's
Or no,
Peretz? Peretz, you got your schnapp holding Peretz?
Tanan Hassam.
It's not awesome.
Oh, Tanan Hassam, yeah.
Did we start yet or just join?
No, Naftali, we're waiting for you.
Oh, shkoyach.
You didn't believe that, Naftali, did you?
What did you want,
I know
Jacob?
better. No.
What do you want, Jacob?
I said you got to see him coming up on the Perek in a few minutes. That's the show.
About we have already shine from Lakewood. The beer.
Beer? That's not. You got to want schnapps.
I know. I have to send a picture out of the meat. I forgot.
Okay, so let's go. So
Go.
Tanan Hassam, right? No,
Yeah. Tanan Hassam, 6 lines
Yeah,
down.
that's right. Tanan Hassam, right? Yeah, Tanan Hassam, yeah. Yeah. So Tanan Hassam, the Kulan Tamid begadim. Now we're back to Yom Kippur. So whoever brought the what's it called? The Seirim to where they're supposed to be, they became Tamid. Right? The Kulan, there was not then the Tamid they begadim. B'nisrofin Beis Hamikdash. Right, and you burn them in the place called the Beis Hamikdash. They got burned in the Beis Hamikdash. Literally means the ashes, but that's not. We don't mistake it for the Beis Hamikdash that's on top of the mizbeach. Right, they get burned outside. Yeah, and the kahanim who bring it there become tamei, and they matame kalim. Yeah, but what happens if they had?
I think the one.
What do you say?
The one inside is called meakev Hadesh, and this is Beis Hamikdash.
Right, yeah. It's a different name, right? Al-Meakev Hadesh. I don't know if that's the name or that's just the meakev Hadesh, right? So what do you call it? So now what happens if the blood spilled? So they had to bring multiple goats, right? You said that if the blood spilled, you got to go get yourself another goat. So now he might have a whole bunch of goats. Let's say it spilled a couple of times, right? So you might have to bring a few goats. So are they all tummy or not? So the Gemara is saying here, the Mishna is saying, the cooler matam begodim, Beis Hamikdash. So Rebbe Eliezer holds yes, they all become tummy. They got to bring out all the goats. And whoever brings out the goats becomes tummy. But Shimon, I'm sorry, Divrei Rebbe Shimon. That's the words of Rebbe Shimon. They're not matam begodim. They ain't nisrafim Beis Hamikdash. Ela achron. Only the last goat that was shechted, right? Meaning they shechted one goat and then the blood spilled. So they had to go back and shecht another goat, right? And then let's say another goat. So the last one, since that's the legit one, that's the only one that's the one that's giving the kapara. So therefore, that's the one that's going to be matam. Right? So how many of the goats does he send out? Right? Yeah, so you mean because you have to redo the whole with the gyral and all that, right? So how many do you have to? Right? Meaning because you have to, meaning let the seir la azazel, right? There's two goats, right? One la azazel, one for the blood. You're gonna have the same three goats that are sitting, nothing if the blood spilled, so you have to bring another two goats, right? Because you have to start it, the whole thing from scratch. But the bottom line is the seir la azazel. Now you're gonna have them lined up. Let's say the blood spilled twice. So now you have three seirim la azazel. They have to go out, right? That's what we're talking about. So how many do you send out? Amrlei says he send out everything, right? You just send out one, meaning you don't send out every goat. You send out one goat. Amrlei said back to him, back on Tamid Aleph, now v'chi edrei sayrif. And do you burn the whole? Eider? How do you call it eider? The
Flock.
Flock.
Flock. You burn the whole flock?
He's making fun.
Right? Yeah, that's sort of like a cynical, not a cynical, whatever. It's a rhetorical sort of, right? Yeah. So he says, so he answered back, me dummy, is that similar? Hasam like siv aisai. Hachak siv aisai. Right? There it says aisai, which sounds like one goat. Right? Hachak siv aisai, but here by azazel, it says aisai, so you only have to send out one. Aisai is the lashon of Yachid, right? So you only send out one goat, so that's why. But by the sreifa,
Are all the dinim involved? Are they not deraisa? It has to be tu'umim l'mashal. Is that not a din deraisa?
So therefore, what?
The previous one's not lazazel anymore. It can't be. It's not a tu'umim. It's not a tu'ayim.
Yeah, but I guess it still had some sort of kedusha.
Yeah, but not of azazel.
It's not la azazel. Yeah, but does it lose the azazel status?
How can it have it anymore? It's not. They're not tu'umim. Unless he's asking if you bring a third one from the same flock, can he bring one? And he just make a new lashem if he brings a third one from the same litter, or whatever it's called.
When you're saying Geshen, he bought triplets. What are you saying?
Yeah, let's say a goat had triplets. Could he have triplets and back up?
I don't know. I don't know how it goes. I don't know. But this, from the Gemara, it's mashma. I mean, it's a machlokes whether you send all three or not, right? Or four or five. Yeah. So Itmar, Rapapi Mishmeid the Rava Amar, Risha and Mishaleach. He says the other way. You send the first goat. Right? Again, we have a bunch of Seirim Lazazel here. So we said that, who was it before? Rabbi Lazar Chachamim said you only send one, but it's the last one. Here, was saying Rav Papi is saying that you send the first one. Rav Simi Mishmei the Rav Amar Achron Mishalech, you send the last one. So Bishlam Rav Simi Barashi Mishmei the Rav Amar Achron Mishalech Kasavar Hayol Begamar by Kapara. Since that was the one that had the kapara, right? Meaning it's twin or whatever, it's the same. The one that was chosen from the girl is the one that you got the kapara with. So that's the one you send. But why would you dafka want to send the first goat? Its partner goat never ended up working out because the blood already spilled. So Gemara says, mitzvah barishon. He goes like Rabbi Yossi, who holds it's always a mitzvah to go with the first one. So now what is this Rabbi Yossi? Hey Rabbi Yossi, which Rabbi Yossi talking about? Rabbi Yossi the Kupas. If we're talking about Rabbi Yossi of Kupas from Shkolim, the Tanan, Rabbi Yossi Aimer, well that's in parentheses, right? Shalish Kupas, Shalish son. They had 3 boxes, each one had 3 saw in it. Shebehem Tomer as a lishka, and they would take the money from the lishka. And Aleph Beis Gimel, and each one of them had written on it Aleph Beis and a Gimel. Why did you have Aleph Beis Gimel on it? Right, you're going to be taking the money from all of them anyways for the Beis Hamikdash. So why do you need Aleph Beis Gimel? Leida, Ezaman Nis Rama Rishon, to tell you which one you're going to be taking the money from first. Lahavi Heimena Rishon, in order to bring from whichever had the first, whichever filled up first. So you should take from that one, right? Shemitzvah birishim, because it's a mitzvah to use the first one. Yeah, why? Because Dilma beidna. I'm sorry. So that's that. It seems like Rav Yossi hold that you go with the first available mitzvah. So you go with the first available goat, right? Then the Gemara says, well, Dilma beidna dis chazoi kamaisa loyes chazoi basraisa. But maybe there's a difference, because maybe then when you have the first one, right? The last one wasn't done yet. Meaning you could have theoretically filled up the first pushka of shkolim, and the other ones weren't even filled up yet. So why would you take those first? You want to take the one that got filled up first. But here, by the azazel, there's no difference. Right? The azazel, it's not, meaning when do you send out the goat la azazel? Only once he's finished sprinkling the blood. So maybe there you don't have to go with the first one because it wasn't even raw yet until the other one's blood was spilled, which it didn't, because until it's sprinkled, and because it's spilled, it wasn't raw. Ella, so you say, so it can't be that Rabbi Yossi by the shkolim. Ella Rabbi Yossi the Pesach, right, which we had a couple of times in Pesachim. The Tanya, hamafresh pischoi va'avad. So let's say somebody separates his korban Pesach and he loses it, and he's mafresh another one under it. And then he found the first one, right? So he lost his goat, then he got a second goat, and then he found his first goat. Right, now you have both of them standing there. Which one should he use? Which sheep, I guess, not goat, which sheep should he use for his korban Pesach? He has his original and the second one. So you take whichever one you want. It's a mitzvah to use the first one because it was the first one that was separated. But if the second one is better, then bring the second one. Right? So, and by azazel though, so why don't you say maybe the second azazel is better? Right? Thank you. Why don't you say the second azazel? Maybe the coins
in the second kupa are shinier or better. I don't know.
I don't know. Does that? Well, no, we already said that can't be the case. The second one, right? So, but he's saying no, because there, that the Taisis Yishonim says that there it doesn't. What do you call it? Doesn't make a difference because it's being thrown off a cliff. Who cares that you have a nice one, right? The one for korban Pesach makes a difference that you have a nice one. Right, but this one, it doesn't make a difference. So anyways, okay.
Because that you're shechting and eating?
What?
Because that you're shechting and eating.
That one, you're shechting and eating, right. It's going to be more geschmack.
What?
What's the problem?
The azazel one is a twin of the one that went to the run shalom. So didn't they pick out nice ones?
Yeah,
So
yeah. But let's say for whatever reason that the second one was a nicer one.
okay.
No,
Fine.
no, but it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. So yeah. That was a long Perek. Yeah. This next Perek is not the L'chaim Perek, it's L'chaim. Chaim. What Perek?
I
What
just
is
switched
it?
from beer to scotch.
I hear. Okay.
I'm happy
Okay.
to have my daughter home. She could do the carpool and pick up the kids now.
I'm saying you're not as bright as you look. Yeah, switching from beer to scotch.
Yeah. There's one other thing that it says here that's interesting. So I don't know if using the first one, it's interesting. He doesn't say Zrizin Makdimin, right? Is this like a form of Zrizin Makdimin or is no shaykhs? It's Ein Mavirin? Is it Ein Mavirin ala mitzvahs? Is it Zrizin? Neither.
To do
To
what?
use according to Rabbi Yossi, to use the first one.
Because that was the twin of the one you shechted.
No, he holds you should use the first one.
Of-
The Rapapi holds you should even use the first one, even if it's not the twin of the one that ended up using the blood to be sprinkled.
Okay.
Right. So that's what he's saying. So I don't know. And then also if it's nicer, so then that takes care of it. We had this discussion, I think. Is reason Makdimin is more important than
Probably, so it sounds more like Ein Mavirin because this one was set aside already. This
Right,
was good
that's-
to go.
right, L'chari, right, Ein Mavirin, but then we're saying, but if the second one is nicer, then you would be Mavirin. Right? Like cutting chalas, Ein Mavirin ala mitzvahs on chalas, right? But if the second challah is nicer, then maybe you should take the second challah, even if you're bypassing the first one. I don't know. That's maybe. I don't know if you can learn that out from here. What are you saying, Gersh?
They all seem to hold that they're equal kedusha. All these azazels have equal kedusha. I'm not sure if it's reason or Mavirin would be gay. There's no
Okay,
difference.
Maybe. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so anyways, again, you can make another l'chaim peretz. Okay, Zog the Mishnah, yeah. So Shnei Seira Yom Kippurim. There's two more prakim of Kodshim, and then we get to the real Yom Kippur sugis of the eating and all that. That's the 8th parak. This one is mamish. This parak is, at least what I've seen so far, is heavy duty Kodshim. That's what this parak is all about. Anyways, so Shnei.
It's interesting. The Rush skips the whole thing. He only has a way to Yom Kippur. He says base of an olive through ayin base. There's nothing.
Yeah, because the Rosh is
Full Kodshim.
Yeah. Maybe we should learn Rosh. Yeah, okay. So Zok the Mishnah, yeah. There used to be a riff, right? There used to be a limud in riff in Europe. Because the riff takes out all these Gemaras. Anyways, okay. Zog the Mishnah. Shnei Seira Yom Kippurim. So the two seirim, like we've been learning about, mitzvahs and shiyu shnei and shavim b'mavre.
Maybe that's what they used to publish them separately. I didn't just now that you said that, I didn't know they used to publish the riff separately.
Right? Yeah, taka. Yeah, that's probably why. 100%. They only learned riff.
Yeah, I brought from my father the shtibel in East New York with Shelley Shechel v'Shalom. We brought a whole bunch of from to yeshiva. There was a set of riffs from 1882.
Wow. I never saw that taka. I never saw the set. I heard of it that it's just riff.
Yeah.
But with Ron in it or just riff?
That much when I was that age, I didn't know.
I hear. I thought you were gonna say at this age you don't remember, but okay. Okay, so Zog the Mishnah, yeah. Shnei Seira Yom Kippurim. There's two Seirim of Yom Kippur mitzvahs and shiyu shneim shavim b'mara u'b'koyma u'v'damin. Right? They have to look the same. They have to be the same height. They have to cost the same amount of money. And they should be bought at one time. which is quite interesting because that's a hard job. I don't know who had the job to find two goats that look the same, had the same height, cost the same. Okay, cost the same. You can rig it.
Well, it wasn't parrots after a siyum, that's for sure. That was one job he didn't get.
Yeah, yes. Right. It's cost the same. And so cost is no big deal. That you could cook the books, right? You could just tell the guy. Yeah, but and to take them both at the same time, you could also make a shtick. They end up buying the actual kinyan happens at the same time. Probably she ain't shoving, but if they're not,
so we're going into Yom Kippur with shtick?
it's not. I don't mean by shtick. You're right. I shouldn't have said the word shtick because that meaning you could tell the guy. The guy says, "Hey, listen, this
Larner, you make a purchase, so you're going to use the lawyer, the same lawyer, so you make two purchases on property at the same time. That's not shtick.
Right, it's not.
No, but you
right.
tell him to undervalue.
Yeah, if one goat costs more,
Larner,
the other
you
goat
tell the
costs-
guy you're spending $100 million on two buildings. Who cares if one is 75 and the other's 25?
I don't know, there's a rule here that it's put in that it should be equal, that it should.
Exactly.
so
They're
that's
not
what you
asking you
do,
to
so
buy
you
a
make
100
it
unit and a
equal.
50 unit building.
Yeah. I'm just saying that's the way.
If they both look alike and they smell alike and they are the same alike, they should both be the same price too.
All right, that's what it is. That's what it means.
The Taisus Yeshanim says, Naftali, since you brought it up, that you can buy it from two sellers. How do you do it? You can't do a purchase from two sellers at the same time, l'chayra, unless you pay each one with the right hand, one with the left hand. But you have to do mashicha, whatever the kinyanim are. So what you do is you'll get a shliach.
To buy the korbanos.
Right. Or you can do it simpler. Taisus Yeshanim says you just get a shliach. You buy one at the same time, and the shliach buys it at the same time, and then both of you bought it at the same time. Right? And then you're good. Yeah?
You saw the first kasha of the Taisus Yeshanim?
Yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Well,
Ben Saira Myra, he asks from.
yeah, that's yeah, so anyway, so you're gonna pull the last two are easy to do. To find two that are exact same height, I don't know to what. I've told you, I'm surprised you didn't ask that. How do you get them exactly at the same height and whatever? Okay. Anyways, so but let's say they're not shoving, it's still kosher. If you buy one day, you buy the next day, it's still kosher. Yeah. If one of them dies, so there's gonna be a lot of Gemara on this. If it died before you did the goyrel, right? Meaning they bought two goats, then they start with the goyrel. So if one of them died before you did the goyrel, you just get a second one because nothing happened yet. So you just go get yourself another goat. And since we said it's not meakev that they have to be purchased at the same time, so you just get another one, you add it to this one. Then mishahigril mace, and if it dies after the goyrel, then you have zug achar, and then you have to bring another set, like we just said on the base. You got to bring another set, and you start the whole goyrel again. And you say im shoshem mace, that if the one that was meant to go to Hashem, the one that it's supposed to be the goyrel is supposed to be under. You don't the key? Vim shall azazel mace, and if the azazel died, right? You do a swap. And the second one you put it out until it gets mum and then you sell it, and then the money goes to being a korban nedava. Shein chatas tzibur mesa, because we don't let a chatas tzibur just die. Yeah,
when did it die?
I have no idea.
We're talking about Misha Higril mace after the Gairo. So what's he saying? If the shame died, if the azazel, he knows which one died. He did the Gairo already.
No, in a chanami, I don't think he's making a tanai.
So what does he say?
What?
The Yoimar is a little premature then.
I think it's just meaning he says if the one that the shame dies, he says this lashon. If the one from the what do you call it dies, he says that lashon. I don't think he's making tanayim.
The way it says v'yomer, it looks like it's tonight.
Enochanami. I hear. But
And the word
really
in.
means
And the word
in-
if. Isn't
im
that like,
shall, no, it could say im shall shame meis yoimar zeh shall alav girl shame yiskayim tach. The im shall azazel meis yoimar zeh shall alav girl azazel yiskayim tach. You can replace the yoimar in different places.
well, you could also say, why is it being so marach? Just say, and whichever one died, say this is its replacement. Finished. You save a bunch of lines, right? I hear. Yeah. Okay. I'm not sure. It's a lechor. It's not a tanai. You're right. It was after the gadol. Yeah. Anyway, so we're saying she'ein chatas tzibur meisa. Remember, we said that there's five chatois that we learn out that that you just have to let them die. You starve them to death. Yeah. But the chatas tzibur, that's only for a chatas yachar. A chatas tzibur, you don't do that. That's what the Tana Kama says. But Yehuda Emer Thomas, no, Yehuda says it does die. You do let it die, right? Because it includes chatoyas of the tzibur. Fine. Let's say the blood spilled. Yeah. So Yomus HaMishtaleach. Then what you do is the Seira Mishtaleach also has to die. Right? Mesa Mishtaleach, and if the one that died, the one that's supposed to be sent out died, then Yishbech Hadam, then the blood gets spilled. So he's saying, Rabbi Yehuda is saying a big chiddush. We've been saying that you just hold on to the goat. He's saying no. If you have the two goats after the gyro, then if the one that died was the azazel, then you don't use the blood from the other goat, right? And if it's spilled and the blood spilled, then you have to let the one for azazel, die, which means that the previous one at the end of the last Perek is not negay according to Rabbi Yehuda, right? Because for sure you're not sending it out because it has to die. Okay, so on Tamid Zok the Gemara. Yikach shnei sirei izim. So you have to take, the Gemara is going to repeat itself 3 times here, right? The same exact Gemara. Except referring to different korbanos. Yikach shnei sirei izim. You have to take 2 goats, right? Miyut. That comes to exclude something. Miyut sirei shnayim. When it says sirei, right? So that's plural. We know that the minimum of sirei, it's since you go with the minimum plural, which is 2. Right? So miyut sirei shnayim. The minimum of seirei plural goats is 2. Matam loymar shneis, and then what do you have to say? Shnei seirei, right? That seems to be redundant. So it tells you shneim shavin that they should both be exactly the same. Minaya and avabi shein shneim shavin shen. So how do you know that if they're not the same, then they're still kosher? Amaloymar seir riba. The word. There's 2 times it says seir. So that tells you that the chatchila should be alike, but if they're not the same thing, so then you're still okay. So Gemara says, asks time at the Rabbi Rachmana. That's only because the Torah included it. Rabbi Rachmana have a mina psulin ikuva, have a mina psulin. So I would have thought that there would be possible. Meaning, had the Torah not taught us that, for those just joining, we're on Amud Beis, 5 lines down from the top. So time at the Rabbi Rachmana. So the reason is because the Torah said seir, that tells you even with the evidence, okay. Halai Rabbi Rachmana, but if the Torah didn't add it, have a mina psulin, we would have thought that it's puzzle. Unless they're exactly the same, they'd be puzzle. Ikuva min alon. So how would we have known that they would have been ma'akev? Right, very interesting kasha. The Gemara is asking, according to the Havamina, right? The Havamina was that they have to be exactly the same. And if they're not exactly the same, they're no good. Which we already said, the pasuk says seir, so that tells us that they don't have to be the ever, they don't have to be exactly the same. The Gemara is asking, and your Havamina, how would you know that it is ma'akev? And if you don't have them exactly the same, it's no good. So the Gemara says, Salkadai Techamina, because I would have thought shnei ksiv. Right? It says 2, 3 times in the psukim. Right? So therefore, it's telling you that it's not going to be ma'akev. So the Gemara says, okay, but now that the Torah tells you seir, which tells you that it's not meakev. Shnei lamali. So now what do I need? So now we have two psukim, two limudim, one of seir, which says it twice, and one of shnei, tells us, they both telling us the same thing. That yes, lechatchila, the goats should be the same thing, but the eved, they're okay. So now what do you need that for? So now we have two. So we said chad lamara. One is to tell you that they're supposed to be look the same, but if they don't look the same, then it's fine, right? V'chad lekoima, one's for height, which is they should be lechatchila the same height, but b'di'evet it's okay. V'chad ledamim, and one for the amount of money that's supposed to be spent. That the lechatchila they should cost the same, but if they didn't, then it's fine. Tani nami hachi gabi kivsei metzora. So we have the same exact Gemara by the goats that you have to bring for the metzora. Not goats, the kevis. Right, the lambs that you bring for the metzora, right? So it says you also have to bring yikach shnei kvasim. It says you have to bring two kvasim. So shnei kvasim is plural, so that means that's two. So what's yikach shnei kvasim? Right, miyut kvasim shnayim. The miyut of kvasim is two. Matam aloy mahar shnei. So what do you have to say two? Shnei and shavim tells you that both goats for the mitzvah, both lambs by the metzora have to be the same thing. How do you know that even if they're not the same, they're kosher? Keves riva. So keves is coming to tell you that even if they're not kosher, so the Gemara asks the same kasha as what time the Rabbi Rachmana. The reason why they don't have to be b'di'evet the same is because the Torah included, right? It said an extra word keves. Haloi Rabbi Rachmana. Had the Torah not said that havamina psulin, we would have thought it possibly ikuba minalan. How would you know that it's ma'akiv and it would be no good? Sagadai techamina tx. So the Gemara says, no, I would have thought it says t. Yeah, it should be, which means they have to be exactly the same. Pashta, the Rabbi Rachmana keves t alam. It's the same kasha. Okay, so now we have two limudim. We have keves that tells you that they don't have to be the same with the Eved, and we also have tia. I'm sorry, we have keves and tia lamali. So what do I need the word tia for? So the Gemara says l'shara v'yaseh shel metzora. That tells you for the other things of the metzora that they all have to be lechatchila, right? That needs to have you need to have the wood. Obviously, something must be fixing my door.
It's Taka Avi, yeah.
It must. I didn't see. He didn't announce himself. I'm assuming it's Avi. It could be it's a malach that just came, but it could be maybe it's one and the same, or a devil. I don't know, whichever. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Fine.
Well, then he's better than Naftali Lana because Mitchell. He's better than the shliach. No.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So the Tranami Gavin Metzora Ki Agamna. So we have the same limit by Metzora. I just have a hurry here. I mean, how come the Gemara is not saying, oh, we have Shnei and Seirim and Shnei and Kvasim, so we should bring 4, right? Many times the Gemara has done that. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just throwing it out there just say that. I don't know when they darshan which way. You want something to darshan this way, not that way. Sometimes you would say, right, it says Shnei Seirim. So it's plural, and plural tells you should bring 4. But I guess you can't say that because Shnei. It says Shnei, but maybe you bring back face. I don't know.
Like the Makkas on Seder night. Every plural adds another 2.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. And the Chanami, very good. Yeah. Okay, so then the third case. The Tanan Nami Gam Metzora Ki Agaro, we have the same thing by Metzora. Tziparim, right? It says Tziparim, you got to bring birds. Right, so there's 2 birds that are brought. So Tziparim, Mia Tziparim is Shnayim. The minimum amount from something plural is 2. Matam Elam Shnei. Why does it say Shtei Tziparim? Shtei and Shabbos, that they should both be the same type of birds. Not the type, they have to look the same. But let's say, how do I know that if they're not exactly the same bird that they're kosher? Tzipor riba. Right? Tzipor tells you to include something because it says tzipor twice. So it tells you that any type of tzipor. Time of the Rabbi Rachman. So that the reason is because the Torah was marvelous. If the Torah didn't include it, didn't make a riba, then it'll be puzzle. So ikuva minola. How do you know that it's meakev? Right? So meaning, how would you know? So salgadai dechamina, I would have thought tx the same thing because it says tia, so it should be meaning it has to be exactly, and there's no negotiations even with the evidence. Fine, so that's the pasuk's telling you tzipor that with the evidence, okay.
Fantastic.
You know what? It's the smartest thing I heard Avi say all day. Should I tell you?
I didn't hear what you said.
He didn't say anything. He's banking. Yes. Yeah. So now that the Torah is saying tzipor, tia lamali, what I need tia for? So we say lashar v'yasa shamatzara to the other things in the metzora that have to be exactly the same, and it is meakev. Fine. So there's three psukim that we have the same exact amount. Two by metzora.
Don't we end up?
And one by Yom Kippur. Yeah.
Don't we end up with 2 tiyas by metzora to tell you the same thing?
So I think it's different. Yeah, so I think it's by 2 different stages. That's the way I'm not sure. That's the way I understood it. It's 2 different stages, but I don't know. Yeah. So let's see. So we know that there's 2 korban tamids, right? There's one in the morning and one in the afternoon, right? Yeah. So Neima. So why don't we say kvasim? Yeah, it says kvasim. It says to bring 2 kvasim. Miyat kvasim shnayim. A miyat of kvasim is 2. Ma tamalor mishnayim. So then why do you say shnei kvasim? Shiyu shnei and shavin. That they should both be the same. Minayin shal b'shein shnei and shavin ksherin. So how do I know that if they're not exactly the same, they're kosher? Tamaloimer keves riba. There's extra keves to tell you that they should be the same, but if not, then it's okay. Ula mitzva, hachanami debinon, right? So, but do we ever see that there's a mitzvah to have the korban tamid animals look exactly the same? We never found the mitzvah for that, right? So the Gemara answers, look at the Tanya. No, there the 2 you need for something else because it says shnayim layoim, right? It says 2 for the day. Keneged hayoim. It means for the day, meaning for the daylight. Ataimer keneged hayoim. So does that pasuk mean shnayim layoim? Does it mean it's for the day, meaning it represents the day? I don't know if represent is the right word. It's there for the day. You bring a korban tamid when it turns day. Or it's just telling you that it's the chiyuv of the day. You have to bring 2 korban tamids. So right? When it says, right, it's Rosh Chodesh laning. If it says there's 1 keves that you bring in the morning and a second one you bring in the evening, that tells you that it's a chiyuv during the day to bring 2 kvasim. So then what do I need to say 2 for the day? It means for the day, 2 in the morning. So Ketzad, Tamid shel shachar nishchat al keren tzvainis maravis. The Tamid shel shachar, right, is shechted in the northwest. Al tabas shnia on the 2nd ring, because there was a whole setup of rings on the floor. If you look in any of the charts of the maps of the Beis Hamikdash, there were 24 rings, right? 24. So 24 rings for each mishmar. That was their ring to put their animals. So it was shechted in the northwest on the 2nd ring. And the evening one was shechted on the northeast, al tabas shnia on the 2nd ring. Right, so that's what the pasuk's coming to teach us. That's you do it. You have those specific things for the korban tamid. Okay, now what about the korban musafs and Shabbos? Musaf and shel Shabbos, right? What about that? Vaday tzrichot shiyu shnei and shavin. That was saying for sure the korban musafs on Shabbos, right? There's 2 korbanos, right? Those for sure need to be the same thing. Yeah. So that's So that's interesting thing that the Gemara is saying, that you need to do the two for Shabbos, the two korbanos for Shabbos have to be in the same thing. Okay, we'll stop here because the next Gemara is it's a whole new sugya. How come we don't read in the Haftarah, right? Always you read the laning. Whenever there's extra korbanos, you read it in laning, right? Yom Tif, you have maftir, you read the psukim. How come Shabbos you don't read the psukim of Musaf in maftir? Right? It's an interesting thing, right? There's extra korbanos. Even Rosh Chodesh, Yom Tif, you always read over the korbanos. Shabbos we don't. The Balabata Shapashash, the answer is because it's only 2 psukim. And you need a minimum of 3 psukim. It's a very not fancy teretz. I'm sure there's a lot fancier teretz, but that's the meat and potatoes teretz. It's just the simple. It's only 2 psukim. Anyways, okay.
This Gemara swings at a teretz. This Gemara is mashma something. Every other korban that has to look the same needs psukim upon psukim upon psukim. All of a sudden comes Musaf Shel Shabbos. Oh, it's pashut. It needs to look the same. Yeah. There's something different about Shabbos. The Musaf of Shabbos is pashut. You don't need a maftir. Shabbos is different.
Okay, you're saying a fancy teretz. I don't know. Okay. Anything else?
Gershon, I saw your Bubby Beta Shabbos. She was very happy. I told her I'll see you tonight on the Zoom, and I see you every night on the Zoom. She was very happy. She was very.
You mean your neighbor? Your neighbor or my mother?
Yeah, Bubby Beta.
Yeah, I'm logging off because my repairman wants me, so I have to be meakev.
All right, I get to Shikaya. Parrots, do you have a date yet for the Siyum? Do we know when it is? No. All righty.
Sorry.
I need to start saving up.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
The call upon him sometime in the 9 days. That's what the time is?
Mama,
you don't even know that.
I'm just in charge of aging.
I hear you.
So how you doing?
I hear.
Yeah.
I get the luck.
I get the